In summer 2017, there was much public attention related to financial management practices at the IWK. Along with other actions, I announced we would conduct a performance audit of the IWK's systems and practices as determined by us. After careful planning, we examined whether management and the board were effectively governing financial management and control matters and the actual state of those controls. This audit was not a forensic audit or an audit of specific individual cases known publicly. In addition, it is separate from any work done by other authorities. I would also note that we were not limited as to what we did in terms of the scope of our work. Before sharing the audit results, I want to clearly acknowledge that we all appreciate the importance and contribution of the IWK to serving those who rely on their care. This audit report does not call that into question. However, even such important institutions as the IWK are accountable to the public to show strong oversight and control of key functions such as financial management and control. I have two key conclusions related to our work that are as clear as they are troubling. Firstly, the IWK board and management did not effectively oversee and ensure that controls over the finances were in place. Responsibility for this failure has to rest with the IWK board, who did not live up to what was expected of them. As a result, I believe poor IWK board performance created a culture that allowed bad things like weak controls and poor accountability to be the norm at the IWK. The culture was the same for management, who in simple terms were not held accountable by the IWK board for controls, and therefore financially managed the IWK as they chose to. Examples of ineffective IWK board governance include the IWK board did not set clear expectations for management, including, for example, when significant unbudgeted expenditures required board approval. Also, the IWK board did not follow up and challenge management on concerns raised or assertions made by management. For example, the IWK board did not question a June 2017 assessment by management that internal controls were mature. That assessment referred to an internal audit function, yet the board did not question that the IWK didn't have an internal audit function. And the IWK board did not ensure that reports from management were accurate and complete. Our report has numerous examples of how in practice the IWK board did not meet the expectations of an effective board. Given the weak control culture of the IWK, it is not surprising when I share the other key conclusion from this audit related to the poor state of financial management controls at the IWK. Overall, I was shocked to see the extent and severity of weaknesses in basic financial controls at the IWK. The IWK audit showed that transactions were not always appropriate, adequately supported, or properly authorized. I want to share some of the many examples from our report to illustrate this. As part of the IWK audit, we examined 7 key business processes and found it disturbing that in all 7 areas, IWK's controls were not effective. This included, as 3 examples, procurement, payroll, and human resources. Our audit also tested 199 transactions for approval, and sadly, nearly half were not properly approved but paid anyway. And finally, our audit concluded that weak procurement controls meant staff could buy things without approval or simply override previous approvals. For 8 of the 10 procurement contracts we tested, the IWK could not even find the contracts or show that they obtained the required quotes to get the best possible prices. Let me put this in context. There are serious matters that need attention at the IWK. To address the IWK's extensive weaknesses in governance and internal controls, we made 10 in-depth recommendations, which the IWK has accepted, and they've made commitments to address these areas. The IWK is a highly reputable and a critical aspect of healthcare delivery. I hope that elected members of the Nova Scotia Legislature, to whom I make this report, will hold the government accountable. This, of course, means ensuring responsibility for those who failed Nova Scotians who entrusted them to govern the IWK effectively. It also means answering for when and how these weaknesses will be addressed, and monitoring if the IWK delivers on its commitments to fix these issues. I will now leave you with 5 questions that you may wish to ask related to this IWK audit.